Yeah, it says we're live. Yeah, we're live. We're live.
Hey, no one noticed a thing, Shawnee. Shh,
No, and that was very professional. No, it was really funny. When I interviewed Mike King,
yes,
I had it was just a wall behind me with no artwork or anything.
Yeah.
And he just absolutely took the piss out of me. He said, gee, just like you said, you've really pushed the boat out. That's incredible, the amount of work that you've done on the set.
So clearly he sent you that picture that's now behind you. That there
is from Western Frizzell. So I love their stuff. So it's not the really expensive stuff. It's the poster.
the cut price version.
when I have a minor victory, I'll order a poster or something off them because I love their stuff so much.
Cool. Maybe just a taco from Otis
yes.
White taco.
Yes.
That's like only $12. You can get one of those, surely.
Do you know? I think I've mentioned this to you before. Lucky Taco. I followed that whole story on Facebook, and that motivated me to start my little business. I just went, "Wow, that's incredible what they've done." I just followed it, and you could just tell that they were going to be fantastic what they did.
Very good, very good. Anyway, who are you and what are we doing here?
Anyway, friends, this is David Downs. I'm sure most of you will know who he is. I've known him for quite a long time. We don't hang out a lot together, but we've known each other for a long time.
Did you live in Hamilton? That's not my fault.
That's true. We started off doing I first met David through the Dealings with Comedy Fest, and we made this radio series called Starship Cortina, and what was the name of the other one?
The Caffeine
Comedy Hour, which was only about 90 seconds long. And seriously, some of the greatest days of my life, because we would have this studio and all these amazing comedians would turn up, and we'd do these radio shows and send them off to stations around the country.
Award-winning radio shows. Thank you very much.
Award-winning radio shows. Do you know who I thought was just everybody was funny, but the person that I just thought he just had the funniest voice was Dean Butler. It's just so. Was it Dean Butler?
Dean Butler, yeah. Dean was he was the titular role of Steve. He was like Captain, whatever his name was.
Yeah. But it was they were great times anyway. It's amazing. That's about 26 years ago that happened.
Yeah, if you round it down though, it's only about 5, so it's not that bad.
Well, there we go. There we go.
Yeah. Luckily, we look exactly the same, and
we haven't changed. We haven't changed.
That's amazing.
Can I ask you this? Because you have done, I mean, it was funny because I got to know you through comedy, and then I started following and I was going, oh my God, he's not just funny, he's incredibly friggin' bright. Now he's working for Microsoft, now he's doing all this kind of stuff. What I wanted to ask you, I was thinking about this today. I think most New Zealanders know the story about your health issues and how you were incredibly sick, and how you and your amazing wife and a lot of friends did all this research. You ended up in Boston, and it's amazing. What I was going to ask you is this. How much of that has had an influence on what you do now? Because to me, it seems that everything that you do since then, and you can do anything because you're entrepreneurial, everything has always attached to helping people. Has that been a conscious thing? Or was it like,
And you're in with the deep questions quite early, Sean.
I'm sorry, but it's noticeable. I notice it.
No, it is absolutely true. When I got back from, so I basically had, for those of you on the call who might not know, and never miss a chance to sell. I've written about this.
Love it.
Winner of a independent publisher award, just got it the other day, actually, Sean. You might not know that.
Brilliant.
Anyway, I had terminal cancer and spent a couple of years basically going through treatment, and then got myself on a clinical trial in Boston, which was very cool because clearly I'm still here. So that was good. So but yes, you're right. Since then, that was 2 years ago now, maybe, I think that I was going through that. Since then, definitely everything is very different for me. I work work doing the things I really want to, that I think have an impact, that are important, and I probably work harder than I ever have, even though I work always very hard. But quite often, that most of that stuff that I do now is for free. You know, I don't do it for money anymore because I wanted to have the opportunity to kind of give back. So yeah, I do a lot of kind of stuff like that, talking to other patients.
You do a hell of a lot of that.
Yeah,
seriously, it's very, very noticeable. It's funny because I was also thinking about this. I know that I'm sure there's been a Dragon's Den series in New Zealand a long time ago.
It had Steve Pufos in it. You know, the guy that used to own the football team.
That's right.
Right, yeah.
Yes. Was that him or was that The Apprentice?
Oh, maybe that is The Apprentice. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there was a NZ.
Anyway, I love watching the UK version.
From memory, there's not a lot of money going around in New Zealand. They basically said, "Look, I'll give you money, but can you get it back to me by Friday? Because I need to pay for it."
Yeah, exactly. I love the UK version of Dragon's Den, and I watch it, and I love it. And I was watching it the other night, and I was going, you know what? The perfect judge, if we did a series in New Zealand, would be you. You'd be on that panel, because here's the thing. First of all, you would be nice because you're always kind to people. You go, hey, look, I really love that idea. I can see you've put a lot of effort into it. That's really, really, no, good on you. That's really great. But then you would quickly go, you know, I'm out. I'm sorry, I'm out. Because here's the thing that I've noticed about you. You are very quick at going, it's summing up a situation and summing up an opportunity.
Yeah. Clearly not quick enough, because here I am talking to you on a Sunday night. So.
I love it. Now, tell us about this SOS thing. Tell us about it. Explain this story, because this is a great story.
I've got to be on brand.
Be on brand.
Look at that.
From the start, tell everyone about, because this is one of your latest ventures. I love this story.
I'm getting a hot head. So essentially, during the last lockdown, not this mini lockdown, but the proper lockdown, the big countrywide lockdown, I set up a little charity, really, not a business, but a project to help small companies, and particularly in the hospitality industry, so restaurants, cafes, that sort of thing, to kind of get some cash flow during the crisis. And I was feeling really sorry for them, because I used to run a bar and a restaurant, as you will know, Sean. I used to run a bar on Queen Street. You remember the classic?
Yes.
And so I have very fond memories / nightmares of having to, scrape together the money to pay the rent or, pay wages or whatever. So I really understand what it's like to be in hospital. So when lockdown happened, I'm definitely going to take that off. I set up this little thing, because I said to the guy down the road who's running a little cafe, maybe I could just jump online every week and buy lunch or something from you and help you out. And he went, "Oh, that'd be great, but I don't have a website where you can do that." So I jumped online and built a little website for the guy, and then added 2 or 3 others. And then I called around all the restaurants and cafes in my area and asked if they wanted to join. And then within a few days, like literally, we were starting to get, hundreds of places saying, could we join as well? And I did a little bit of PR and that sort of thing. It was incredible. So during that 6 weeks or 7 weeks of lockdown, we ended up with 2,500 businesses listed on the platform, and it went from restaurants and cafes to businesses. That's why it's SOS business, because we started
addresses,
all sorts, massage people, tattoo parlors, all sorts. And I said, "Yeah, come on, it's no problem." And 2,500 of them came on, and then basically we just were selling more and more and more of these vouchers. So basically, we were selling a voucher for a coffee or whatever it might be. We gave all the money straight to the vendors. We didn't take any money, because it was always meant to be a charity thing. And we did it as quickly as possible. So as soon as the money cleared from the credit card company, we would just give it straight to them. And it was massive. It was a huge, fun experience, because it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And we ended up with, at one point, 15 volunteers helping, because it just outgrew very, very quickly. And every week almost we were having to do something different to kind of scale it up a bit more. So yeah, it was hugely successful.
Did you always think that it was going to grow to the 2,500? Seriously, because you are somebody that can actually look ahead and go, actually, this is. In my dreams, I would have thought that. When we first set up, I thought if we can get a couple of hundred, it would be pretty amazing. And then we hit that in about 3 days. So it was just got bigger and bigger.
And then the other thing was the money was coming through was
Yeah, you had to phone the bank.
Basically, when I first set up, like the first couple of days, I set it up because I hadn't really thought. I just jumped online, built a website, and then it's like, where do you want the money to go? And I just put in my bank account because I was like, that's the fastest thing I can think of, my own personal kind of bank account. And then after a few days, I went, oh shit, this is like the first few days was just like 20 grand or something, and I was going, oh, that's quite a lot of money. And then a week goes by, and suddenly it's like 200 grand, and I'm going, oh my god, this looks dodgy as all hell. So I called my bank manager and said, I just want to, this is quite a lot of money coming in my account. Just whatever you do, don't bounce it or whatever. And she was great. And she said, no. And I sent her the web, like a link to an article that was done in the Herald or something. But it was funny because I talked to a mate of mine who's a lawyer too, like about 3 or 4 days in. I went, I think I've got a tiger. I literally said, I think I've got a tiger by the tail here. Like this thing is really exploding on me. And he went, oh, okay. What you should do is set it up as a separate company, set up a separate bank account, da 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 da. And I went, too hard. All that sounds too hard.
I love it.
We just kept it going through our bank account. In the end, just jumping kind of ahead a bit, we blasted past $1 million of revenue. That's another little story. And then we just kept going and going. And now we're just hit $2 million in revenue, all of which has been going through my bank account.
And then out, it's like in and out really quickly. Yeah.
It comes in and out within a day or two. And and it's very funny. So and then people were saying to me, this is amazing, Dave, what you've done. How are you handling the whole anti-money laundering thing?
And you go, what? What are you talking about?
I went, yeah, I do. And
that thing. Now also, here's also an interesting thing. Tell everyone about the interest from is it a company in Texas?
Yeah, well, because that's basically that. That's what happened in the end. So that was all through the whole lockdown period, and we were just massively busy and stuff. And there were also organisations from around the world getting in touch, which was actually really cool. We had a couple from England, 2 or 3 from Australia, a Canadian company, all of which had seen our press or heard about us and said, we want to do the same sort of thing. Can you help us? So we were giving them advice on how to set it up. And one of them was an Australian organisation who had a relationship with a Texan company. And anyway, we were on a couple of phone calls with these guys, just kind of talking to each other and giving each other advice and sort of saying, here's what we did and here's what we did. And it was very cool, actually. It was very, very collaborative time. And after a few weeks, the guys from Texas, there's a company called InKind, said to me, oh, what are you going to do when this whole thing's finished? You're going to shut it down? And I said, we think once we get out of level 4 and then into, more normal life, it'll probably just subside. But actually what happened is it didn't. It just kept going, and which is really cool. Corporates and big companies kept buying vouchers, and, lots of good stuff keeps going on. So anyway, we had it in the end, about 5 organizations approach me and say, could we buy, or do you want to sell out, or do you want to buy, or can we take it over, or whatever. And I went through with all of them and, trying to work out what was good and what was bad. And in the end, I chose this Texas company called InKind, because I think they've got a really innovative model for basically financing restaurants, which is different, because we wanted to make a big thing. This whole thing was set up as a charity. We didn't want to sell it to someone who's then immediately going to start charging people to use it, or margin or whatever, or just sell the database and then they could sell them other stuff. So we didn't want to do that. That wasn't kind of the intent. So this Texan company has agreed to keep the thing as a not-for-profit. So they'll basically run the same voucher system we've got. And then they've got some added services that they can offer to companies and around marketing. One of them is, and the big one that they've got is this ability to finance restaurants and cafes and other businesses. Quite an innovative financing model where they'll basically pre-purchase off you, the vendor, a bunch of credit, and then they'll take the risk of selling that credit. So you don't end up with debt. You end up basically selling restaurant credit. So it's quite cool, actually. And they took over a couple of weeks ago, and it's been very cool, actually, so far. I kind of helped them out a little bit now, just while we're going through this transition phase.
Ambassador role kind of thing. Yeah.
Ambassador, but they didn't give me the car with the little flag on the front.
God damn it!
I should have put it in the contract. Yeah.
Have you got any advice? Because you've bloody got a great business mind on you. Have you got any advice for, well, not even just small business, any business at the moment, that, you know, are going through these challenging times? Any tips on?
Yeah.
You have. That's good.
Well, yeah, no, I was more empathizing about the challenging time.
Let me grab my pen.
In New Zealand, there has been some really cool stuff happen. And my friend Joe Davis and I have just written a book. We've just submitted a
Great
book
guy.
on the positive things that have come out of COVID. It's called Silver Linings. It'll be in a good bookshop near you coming soon. But anyway, what we discovered through there is there's lots of amazing stuff that has happened. I mean, clearly there's lots of shit, you know, don't get me wrong. It's very tough for lots of people. There's cash flow issues. But we chose to sort of tell a story of what was good and what was positive. One of those stories, just that's pertinent to your question, is this amazing organization called Manaaki.io. So you go to Manaaki.io, Manaaki.io. That's an organization set up by Pat McPhee and Andy Hamilton, and many people know Andy, to basically give advice, like really amazing advice to small business. And basically they've got a whole lot of mentors and kind of industry kind of experts, and there's about 50, and I'm one of them. And then people can jump online and ask any old question, you know, and they're quite specific, these questions about cash flow, about, you know, how to find companies, how to find customers, you know, all sorts of things. And that's actually been a really interesting model of connecting people to each other and just saying, look, let's get really practical about how we can help each other. So yeah, if you're feeling stuck or alone or lost, jump on Manaaki.io. Oh, don't have a hat for that one. Or
yeah, get the hat on.
I'm a really good salesperson.
There we go. Look at him plugging away. How about New Zealand as a whole? Where do you think the opportunities might lie for us over the next few years?
Oh, I think New Zealand's, you know, is carving ourselves out a very cool niche in 2 or 3 different dimensions. So in my day job, I do some work for the government and in international trade. I work for New Zealand Trade Enterprise. So this is kind of my area. But we're noticing a couple of really interesting things. One is a huge influx of talent into New Zealand, repatriating Kiwis coming back to New Zealand. And Kia did a survey last week on the amount of New Zealanders that are coming back that are kind of, you know, saying, look, COVID's going to happen for a few years yet. Maybe now's the time to move back to New Zealand. And we're seeing a big influx of very talented people back into New Zealand. So that's a huge net positive for us. The other big thing that's happening, of course, is we've done a really good job of controlling the virus and, you know, rebounding our economy. You know, relative to other countries, we've done a great job. Yes, it's tough. I have to come back and say it's very tough for many people. But relative to other countries, we're doing extremely well, and a very well managed communication. You know, it's very clear, and that stand us in really good stead globally, notwithstanding the comments of the American president over the last few days.
But can you believe he said that? It's just, I couldn't believe it.
It's very
it cracks me up.
It's very difficult to be incredulous about anything he says these days. But
yeah.
Anyway, I mean, relative to other countries, so we've got this real brand New Zealand going on of, you know, here we are at the bottom of the world. We've managed to kind of, you know, conquer the virus to a degree. We've kind of got normalized settings to a degree. And, you know, the other big thing for us, of course, is, you know, our major kind of international value exports are food and beverage and high quality, you know, clean, healthy food. And that's what the world really is craving. So, and add to that the huge boom in the technology sector that's happening at the moment and has been happening for a few years, but has just accelerated over the last year or so. And you've actually got the conditions for an amazing success. Like, I'm incredibly optimistic about New Zealand over the next, you know, 5 to 10 years. We've just got to grasp this opportunity and build on it. And I'd love to see, this is going to mean, after a quarter of a glass of wine, I'd love to see more visionary leadership about that coming out.
In what way? What do you mean? Give me an example. What do you mean?
I mean, look, we should be talking about the opportunity for New Zealand. We should be saying, look, well, how can we build on this? How can we build on the fact we've got 30,000 amazing, talented people coming back into New Zealand, and the world really loves us and wants what we've got to sell? How do we capitalize on this and really kind of see the opportunity in this crisis? And I think, you know, for New Zealand, we have got an absolute opportunity. So, you know, business leaders, political leaders, you know, community leaders, now's the time for us all to step up, all of us as leaders, and look for opportunity, because I think that now's the time.
You're a legend. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
I reckon. No, let me think. I guess the other thing that we've got to really think about in New Zealand, while I'm on my high horse, my soapbox,
stay on it because it's fun.
Is making sure that in that success, in that future state of success, which I'm kind of visioning, that we bring everyone along for the ride. This isn't about people that look like me and you, frankly, as the only people that are successful in the new economy. We've actually got to really think about, what does it mean to be living in regional New Zealand, and to be Māori or Pacifica, to be in some sort of a group where you're feeling disadvantaged or you are disadvantaged. How do you make sure that we've got an economy that can give opportunity to all those people? So last week, there's another advertisement. I'm getting them all in, Shawnee.
Get them all into my huge following that I've got.
How is your mother?
She's great.
Last week, the High Tech Trust, which I'm part of in New Zealand, the High Tech Trust is an organisation that kind of looks at the technology sector of New Zealand and celebrates the success in it. We launched a foundation which is going to fund scholarships for Māori, Pacifica women.
Brilliant.
Into the technology sector, because we think that the future of our success is in the technology sector, and so we've set up this foundation to basically fund those sorts of scholarships, and that's kicked off. So if you're interested in hearing more, Google High Tech Trust, and you'll find it.
Have you got a scarf or a T-shirt or something that you want to?
I could probably find something. No, actually, I'll just have to wear these again. Hang on.
Oh, there we go. Off he goes. Hey, gee, I'd like to catch up for another chat in the not too distant future. I do find you bloody inspiring, because a couple of things. One, you're so smart. Two, you move so quickly. And three, you're such a kind bugger. You really are. You're genuinely kind, and you're always thinking about other people, and it's bloody amazing. So thanks for joining me tonight. What's your next big project that you're working on, or is that Secret Squirrel? Is there anything else?
I'm climbing the Sky Tower at the end of November, which is for charity for Leukemia and Blood Cancer New Zealand, who are the charity that helps patients who have blood cancer, which is what I had. And they do this every year. All the firemen in New Zealand climb the Sky Tower, and they invited me to be part of the sort of celebrity team in inverted commas, which I joyously said yes to, and then I didn't realize I had to wear all the gear and climb this Sky Tower.
It's going to be fun. That's going to be fun.
November. Yeah. That's my next big project.
Hey, Downsy, thanks so much for your time. Keep up the great work. You're bloody inspiring.
Thanks, man. Nice
all
to
right,
talk.
my friend. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.